Well, so it's that time of year again. Time where everything ends. Endings are good though. Endings allow us time to reflect. And this year has brought a lot of new things for me. So I thought it might be interesting to sit down and go back over a lot of this.
We'll all fall down as we cross that line. All that you do is now gone. No one you know believe that God. Everyone's drowning in fear. You just wanna tell them that you're still here. We're reaching the end of our time. Reaching the end of the sunshine. Right on the knees of the bright. We'll all fall down as we cross that line. All that you know is now gone. No one knows believe that God. Everyone's drowning in fear. You just wanna tell them that you're there.
You see, in old 2023, a lot has changed for me. I did take the big plunge. No, not 8x10. I'm not ready for that yet. No, instead, I became an on-the-ground reporter in Ukraine. A photojournalist. I joined the big leagues, as it was. But this video is already going to be long enough as it is, so let's stop rambling. A few things to note before we do get started. I will be listing out all of the names of the cameras, films, and lenses that I will use throughout this video. Ain't no way I'm saying Konica Genbu Kentoku 40 times. California, my home state. It was important to me that before I headed off for my coverage of Ukraine, I see my home, where I come from. Even though I've not spent a huge amount of my life there, there is a certain sense of nostalgia that comes from California. Not only would going there allow me the opportunity to do this, it also allowed me to sharpen my skills and shoot and produce 4 different videos that are all out now. All of that, of course, started the night I landed in San Diego. Midnight at El Gordo's. This is one of those shots that you just know will be a banger when you take it. Shot at 1/15th of a second, I was incredibly lucky that everyone seemed to just hold still for a minute. The glow of the Rito Amber 800 perfectly stays away from that halation red just enough, while still not fully turning the people into silhouettes. This one is definitely one of my favorites from the year, and probably one of my all-time favorites for street photography.
Just wanna spend some time together before everything's gone. It's in the air, can't you feel that good times are coming on? California, here I come. Every heartbeat just like a drum. I hear your rhythm, you feel so near. Oh, California, all senses clear. I'll be alright. We should have lived a life together in your warming sun.
You can see even more of these photos from San Diego because they are all part of my grand San Diego on film and a digicam. video, and you can find it linked right here. However, at the very end of the trip, I found myself facing a beautiful sunset and, well, no film to shoot it. What could I do but turn to my old, trusty Canon R7?
California, all this time. Now I'm at the end of the line. Just another hill to climb. California, then you'll be mine.
February, I was in editing hell. If you followed my channel for a while, you'll know that I am definitely not a quick editor. Mixed with learning a few different systems as I go, and my corporate work, I was a busy boy. Speaking of my corpo work, I did do a couple photo shoots with my former long-term client, Templeton Distillery. Here's a few of those. Of course, in March, I packed up and flew across the world to Poland. I had never properly been in Warsaw before, and I wanted to take a few extra days to see the city. See a city that had faced war and genocide before. Know that a place can see those things and be normal once again. Especially with the nature of my work, it seemed appropriate, even if I didn't know the reason when I decided to stay those extra days. I splurged a little bit and got an apartment with a view as well. Metro Girl. I really liked this scene when I shot it, and I think the black and white was the perfect choice to go with. From my first time in Warsaw, I would say this is probably the winner. But I did take a lot of great photos while I was there. Enough so that, you guessed it, made an entire video about it. However, walking a square I've always wanted to photograph, and even meeting a knight, all of these things must come to an end. I quickly hopped on a bus and made my way into Ukraine. My first stop? Lviv. Lviv is an old city, a beautiful city, and it feels like a place that, in a more sane world, would be on lists of European hidden gems. I've been lucky enough and honored enough to be able to document this place during this time. If you want to see a little bit of my time there, My Lviv video is out now. I promise this is not just an ad for my other videos. In a city that would make the lists of European hidden gems, I brought this guy, the Konica Gembukentoku. And this little guy is one of film photography's best kept secrets. A powerful, near indestructible point and shoot with great image quality. Even in that first week of being in Ukraine, I was lucky enough to meet a couple truly amazing people, including my friend Andrei, a historian and guide through the westernmost part of Ukraine. You can see the video we made together about the Carpathian Mountains here, although, admittedly, it isn't my best work.
This is the main square of Armenian neighborhood. Today it's one of the favorite places of students and young people and creative people and for people who just want some quiet place. But also sometimes it's hard to stay quiet here because there are many people who are taking photo shoots here.
Yes.
It's a very beautiful place and favorite place for photo shoots.
Another of those friends I made in Kyiv, Alina, a former journalist and a guide here in Kyiv. Her interview with me is currently in production. Any last thoughts you have? Anything you want to say to whoever may see this?
Don't be scared to come to here. Life goes on.
Yes.
I think even more than during the peaceful times.
Bright flashing by the street lights. Keep waiting till you've arrived. Let it unfold. Let it unfold. Give me reason to feel right. I keep waiting for the morning light. I let him fall. Let him fall. You need to give me something I can't hold on to. I sleep through the night after all, debating how you live your life. Bright flashes of white light.
Just like in San Diego, I did bring my little Kodak Easy Share Digicam with me. It's an incredible little camera, and being able to have something so small and easily pocketable on me at all times was quite the thing. Plus, it has a bunch of old Kodak film emulations in it. Eat your heart out, Fuji. One of the coolest places I found in Kyiv was around the old Olympic Stadium. Street photographers, I'm telling you, this is what you want. This is what we live for. Space like this is so special and versatile.
Keep dancing the whole way. Keep dancing the whole way. It's easy to let go. Change your track when it feels slow. Just lose control. Just lose control. Bright flashing by the street
Yeah, so you were asking about my experiences with the air sirens, and the time I got more anxious about it was after the car of our friend was hit with the rocket on the beginning of October. So his brother, he immediately died, and our friend was taken to intensive care. We were collecting money for his treatment, and lots of people donated, like just in 3 days. But yeah, after that you feel kind of like the war is closer to you than you think. Because before we were more like, carefree about all those air sirens and stuff like this. After that it was like quite a lot of worries for a while. Yeah.
Do you think you'll be able to ever kind of go back to that same relaxed point, even after the war? Or do you think it's always going to be there?
I don't know. But I think for like some period, maybe for a long period, everybody will be just feeling the results of it, like the results of those experiences you went through. Because I don't know, sometimes it's getting like really funny. On one side, I remember it was air siren, and I'm sitting in the corridor, and my boyfriend doesn't care, so he sits in the room. And that was the drone attack at that moment. And he just made some coffee, and then at some point I hear the sound. And I'm just screaming like, Sasha, get in the corridor, the drones are flying. And he's just getting out like, is the coffee being made? And I was like, you just get so, I don't know, so sensitive to all the sounds, the loud sounds of cars, stuff like this.
A lot happened in this town, but it is a more poor region of the country, and so it does not quite get the same spotlight it probably should. Here in Irpirn, we find ourselves inside of an apartment building that was destroyed by the Russians. Tank rounds fired into it, bombing runs hitting the roof, and the scars of white phosphorus all around us. It's quite surreal to stand in places like this. I was lucky enough to come across and meet a local man named Anton. He guided us through this neighboring building and gave us a short interview about what he had experienced and what he had seen.
Первый авиаудар был здесь, где вы видите яму. Это был первый авиаудар. Били по местному населению и дальше били по военной части, потому что там военный госпиталь. Рядышком находится военная часть. Военный госпиталь у вас прямо, чуть выше. Военная часть и Гостомель получается вот рядышком. Поэтому эти районы самые больше пострадали. Вот вы видите гаражи. Видите выпаленную улицу Кирова. Стрит Кирова. Почему ее выпалили? Потому что с Бучи. Буча там, где вот вы видите озеро, там Буча. Там Буча и с Бучи били. Били с Бучи. Почему били с Бучи? Потому что Вышгород, где Ивановское направление, они подорвали мост, и они подошли с Бучи, пошли. Картина на ладони.
My video on these liberated areas is in the late stage of editing now and hopefully should be out pretty soon. Liberated Home. I didn't like the shot when I first took it. Now it's going to be the thumbnail of my aforementioned project on these liberated areas. What is there to even say about Bucha? I've been there a couple of times, and what sticks in my mind are still those golden domes. This is the church grounds that were used for the mass grave here in Bucha. The Russians, in their own words, conducted a cleansing operation here, a systematic way of murdering military-aged civilian men and looting homes. Bucha and Irpirn are considered more of an affluent area in this part of the country, and even in multiple intercepted telecommunication conversations, we can see that this really pissed off the Russians. But something I don't see mentioned that often is that people actually fled Kyiv for Bucha and Irpirn. They believed these suburbs would be safer, as the Russians would just roll past and get into Kyiv, leave them alone, essentially. And they were wrong. However, despite the darkness, there are people who are willing to fight it.
So who are you and why are you here? I know, but...
My name's Paul Littick, and we're here in name of our non-profit organization, Trees of Hope, to basically bring hope back to Ukraine. Hope in the sense of that they're not alone and that trees carry us in a positive way on into the future.
And what are we doing here? Where are we?
Well, we're actually now at one of the first places where one of the first victims fell of the invasion in Bucha, and it's right behind me in this beautiful little park. And as in commemoration, really, we're planting 20 lime trees. Antilia is the Latin name for a lime tree. It's the tree of friendship in a way, and it is a very old tradition of planting this type of tree in an urban setting. They used to be planted in marketplaces, and underneath the tilia people would congregate and come together, and even in certain situations there would be judgments would be passed, and it's a very old European tradition of a tree.
Very nice on there. And what inspired you to come out and start this charity and do this with your time?
The devastation originally, of course there's the human suffering, which is of course that hits you like a ton of bricks, but for me, from my business, it was also the ecological damage, and it was something that struck me right away in terms of what I've seen today on our tour in the big park here in Bucha. There were quite a few trees damaged, and when you see it up live, it's very raw, and you know it's very permanent, because a tree, you cannot just sort of damage a tree a little bit. It immediately punctures its vacuum system, which allows in all sorts of pathogens and problems in the long term. So basically, whatever has been damaged here is, as time goes on, will be, in so many years' time, these trees will not survive this. So as a gesture of trying to keep a different message alive, but one of positivity, I thought it was important to come out and do what I could, and what we could together as Trees of Hope, is that we could bring in some literal hope and bring in some positive energy in the form of, the only thing I know is trees, and that was for me, it was an urgency, and also there's like a must involved. There you go. I would like people to understand that life is going on in an incredible force here in Ukraine, that we've seen so much positivity of the people living their lives and getting back to more than normal at a speed of light. We've seen streets being restored in a year's time, which were battlefields a year ago, and there's this huge force which I found very attractive as well. I resonate with that tremendously in terms of, and it's a word I enjoy very much in Ukrainian, it's pishli, it means let's get on.
April would start off strong and see me traveling farther east, all the way to Kharkiv, a city that really stole my heart. I would also get to finally meet in person my friendo, ANASTASIYA'S.
Because I used to, go from that building to that building. Some lectures would be here, some lectures would be there. So you have to cross in 10 minutes, very fast.
Between all these lanes of traffic. And of course, her interview you can find right here. Anyone who's worked with ANASTASIYA knows just how much she does for us foreign fools. She truly is amazing, and what she does for us and for her people are incredible. And even if she doesn't take the praise, I will continue to lump it onto her every single time. Part of where we would head for this time was to Slavutych, a neighborhood of 500,000 people that is now turned to rubble by multiple Russian attacks. My buddy Chris would be joining us, an extremely talented reporter for the Associated Press. And of course, the next day, after celebrating some dead invaders, ANASTASIYA, myself, and our driver Kirill went to Izyum, a small town that is now widely known for being the home of the largest mass grave since the Yugoslav genocide.
Reconstructed that thing, so people could cross it.
А мы сейчас вот там заедем, встанем, сфоткаешь.
You're gonna stand, go outside and can take a pic if you want. Yep, such as that.
There is probably not a building in this town that is not ruined or heavily damaged. Every school was blown up into rubble. Many people are dead. Many more fled. Life is hard here. And walking through this place, you know the saying, air is heavy? This just felt like every breath you took in would weigh you down, over and over and over again.
So in this building that collapsed, as you can see, there was like 50 or 60 people who were killed just here. So some of them died instantly, some of them were in the basement hiding, and people could not pull them out because of the shellings, of constant shellings. So basically they just starved and, died of thirst and stuff like that. So around 50-60 people died just in this house alone.
These shots on Fuji Provia 100F and Kodak Panatomic X are a couple of my favorites from Kyiv during April. May would see me returning from Ukraine for the first time. While I wish I could be there till the end of the war, I needed to head back, deal with some life stuff, and build up enough capital to continue funding my return trips. Speaking of building up cash, I would once again take a job from Templeton Distillery, my last for now. June would see me picking up my camera again. I had realized that, other than my professional stuff, I'd not gone out to shoot much for me. This is also when I started to really realize how much my style had changed from being in Ukraine. Even looking at them now, they seem too distant. I don't mean from the subject either, but rather a reflection back on me. There's a term in photojournalism, or maybe it's just more of a saying, that your camera is your shield. And I think that's crap. I would rather be vulnerable in that moment and feel what is happening around me. I believe it leads to a more honest photo and a more honest journalist. I held to my belief in Ukraine, but I realized I was actually doing that when I came back to the US. I don't quite know what to make of it, but I tried to break out of that mindset as best I could. July was all about experimentation, breaking out of this shielded mindset with new toys and, professional photography tool. I did shoot some film as well on the Pentax 6x7, my favorite camera that is far too heavy for any realistic work in Ukraine. August was hot, and I didn't want to go out that often, but I'm glad I did on a rare occasion. I got some more film shots, but the Digicam was the star of the show this month, that Kolari pocket camera. Being able to go carefree and actually do some great landscape work was reassuring. Found out about a local street concert and I just had to stop by. This band, Aged Spirits, they actually sang the song from my very first video. Little behind-the-scenes documentary of Templeton, Iowa. It is my first video and it is pretty rough, but it still holds a special place in my heart. And after only a few short months, I was back, baby. I only had a day in Warsaw, so I busted out with my little pocket camera and shot away. Similarly, my time in Lviv this time was very short. So, more infrared shots, and an experimental roll I've used before, Revolog paper. Slavutych. What is even to say about Slavutych? Well, aside from most people not knowing where the hell it is or what the hell it is, let me tell you. Slavutych was the last planned city of the Soviet Union. It was built to house those left homeless by its careless actions and the disaster of the Chernobyl nuclear power plant. I met with people, interviewed, and was able to document part of the history that most of the world just isn't aware of. I got to speak with people who lived in these infamous towns, as well as the youth of today, growing up in a time of war. It is so calm up here in the north. This little town locked away from everything. Life almost seems normal. You would be forgiven for not knowing that it was occupied at one time, or that the people actually came out to protest against them. But that's a story for another day. I have multiple projects cooking in the oven on this one. I headed back down south to Kyiv for a little time in the capital before heading out east. This is also where I was lucky enough to meet a couple of new friends in person, Patrick Hillsman and Dylan Burns. We also watched some really strange videos.
Look, if you don't know the facts about my life, then you'd be stupid to doubt me, wouldn't you? So stop it. Now let's move on.
Being back in Kyiv always makes me happy. A hell of a city. There's always a few frames to be found if you're willing to look for them. This spot in front of St. Andrew's Church is quite a place to be. This memorial in the heart of the city. Ruined Russian war machines now reclaimed with yellow and blue ribbons. Children playing over them, and the memorial wall that covers the brave men and women from 2014 to the modern day who have fought for their country's freedom.
Maybe I'm not reading all the stories you can cover all the media, it's just impossible and so on, but I really like when the stories go deeper, when, for example, speaking about corruption, and of course it's a lot, but it would be really lovely if there were more stories about how Ukrainians at their own places are fighting this corruption. There are a lot of the protests at the moment going on in different cities about the budgets of the city, how we should spend more on the war and on the real needs that we have right now, against a lot of the corruptions movement and so on. I would love things like that to be shown more, to show that Ukrainians are fighting not just on the battlefield, but at the same time we are here fighting against this corruption and doing our own little steps. So that in the end it doesn't look like, oh, there is this Ukraine, this very corrupt country, and we are giving them money, and where this money goes and things like that. There are a lot of stories like this. And believe me, a lot of Ukrainians, they also want to know where the money goes on. That's why we go on the protests and, sign petitions, spread the words about that. And I think this side of the story is really important, just to show this on the background.
Yeah. That it's also Ukrainians fighting for their future in different ways.
Exactly, because our army is not just fighting the Russian army, we are just, fighting this past with a lot of corruption. We are fighting for the new life, for the diversity, for the democracy. That's the needs.
Yeah. And that's mostly younger generations of Ukrainians coming up, seeing the world and wanting something different, right?
Well, probably younger generation is the people who see more of these changes being possible. And I really would like this younger generation, including me, not to lose this hope, just to feel that we are supported in that we are not really left alone with this because it's quite difficult, to fight Russia and at the same time to fight for, other important freedoms.
These 3 images are some of my favorite from Kyiv this month. Kharkiv, oh Kharkiv. My Ukrainian friends were actually often amazed that I love this city as much as I do. I couldn't wait to get back to it. And what a time it was. First off, I got to hardcore prank Anastasia.
Is that?
This is a shirt from one of your favorite streamers that I found.
Oh my god! Fuck you, dude! How could you do that to me? That's so offensive! Go back to the States right now!
Leave, okay, I'm going.
Yeah.
Bye, yeah.
How was the word? Export? No, export. What's the word?
Oh, deport me.
Deported the fuck away.
Yeah.
What the hell?
I knew you would like it, so. And can you believe she still worked with me after that? Probably some of the most meaningful work I've ever done. A lot of interviews will be coming out about this time. On top of the interviews we did in the city, our work would also take us outside, farther out east. Speaking with a veterinarian whose entire animal shelter was ruined and the animals killed by the Russian occupation. She now works as a volunteer trying to save domestic and wild animals caught up in war. Roman, who had finally saved up enough and got approved for the right loans to buy his dream home, who is now left with rubble and a massive amount of debt.
It's extra upsetting because so many people, have very little, and they it's such a big thing. So people in former Soviet Union, communist, shitfest, to own things, to have house, to have chickens, whatever the fuck, to have stuff that is yours, and just to lose it again like that because of the same fucking people again. Russia, it's very, very hard to see, it makes me really upset because I know how much people care about their own stuff and how much effort they put into building things, making them, you know, beautiful again, and just to lose it all again just for what exactly, you know?
Yeah, I agree. Especially taking out loans and
Yes,
everything.
and the person now has loans.
Yeah.
No house but loans.
To pay off and everything.
It's very, very rough. And it's nearly impossible for many people to now to have things back, because how would they? They don't have money. Many people lost work. They can't, you know, build things again. And it's so expensive to renovate that thing. It's, you know, it's very.
Yeah.
And even this older couple who built their lives around this boating club, the most striking thing from them was them telling us that they know they won't live long enough to ever see reparations come their way. Going out east is always hard, but I cannot describe the feeling knowing you're documenting and capturing these important moments in history. Come November, and it's time for me to head back home. So, staying in Lviv for a couple of days, I also started a roll of lomography red scale. While also in the city of Lviv, I got to interview Alice about her incredible project, photojournalist, and its focus on diversity in Ukraine, looking at a true Ukrainian identity. Of course, our interview is out now.
Можливо, це буде дуже самовпевнено, але для мене це бути частиною та якоюсь, я дуже сподіваюся, позитивною частиною майбутніх змін взагалі у світопорядку, в новій світовій системі, тому що зараз, на думку багатьох експертів, наприклад, Ніла Фергюсона, змінюється світова система і змінюються правила, стандарти, ідеї, цілі, цінності, які в кожній світовій системі поєднані. І в Україні, я дуже сподіваюся, може бути місце для кожного, місце, де кожен зможе відчувати себе як вдома, тому що це вже так є. І тому що Україна ніколи не була колоніальною державою, вона ніколи не колонізувала інших народів. І чомусь так сталося, що про це ніхто не знає в Європі. Дуже мало країн в Європі, понад декілька, які ніколи не колонізували. Україна одна з них, і вона при цьому вміщує себе вже існуючі історичні народи, як караїми, як кримські татари, як євреї, які вже жили і співіснували. І зараз я просто підсилюю та підсвітлюю цю історію України для того, щоб в майбутньому ми могли вже мати цю цінність та жити разом. З ким хочемо, як хочемо, різні люди, жити комфортно та позитивно.
It was back to Warsaw for me, and I actually gave myself a little extra time here. I had been traveling for a few days and I wanted some breathing room in between everything. Coming out of Ukraine, it is about a 30-hour journey, so God knows I earned a little. So why not go out shooting the incredible late autumn colors with the Lomography Petzval lens? I did switch back to my standard Sigma Art 18-35 though. And in December, I was finally back home. I also spent a good holiday with my family. It's been a busy year, and I feel like most of my time is spent editing now. I swear, sometimes going to Ukraine feels real fucking relaxing. I've accomplished much, and there is much to say still. My commitment to Ukraine holds strong. I plan to keep covering this, probably even till after the war. To all of those friends who have welcomed me with open arms, who have allowed me to do the most important work of my life. To those who have entrusted their stories to me, I thank you. And you have honored me more than I can ever express. And to those of you who have followed me, Instagram, YouTube, any platform, your support in all of this means the world. It is massive, even if it might just be a small part of your day. So I also thank you. But enough sappy stuff out of the way. What's new for 2024? 8x10? No, I'm still not ready for that. That's terrifying. Are you kidding me? Trying to lug that around a war zone? Are you nuts? Who would I be to do that? And who knows? I might end up doing something crazy like a year of black and white. Don't tempt me.
Nobody talks about anything anymore. When was the last time you had a real conversation with someone without somebody texting or looking at a screen or a monitor over your head? You know, a conversation about something that wasn't celebrities, gossip, sports, or pop politics. I mean, why have a civilization anymore if we no longer are interested in being civilized?